Hello, hello, how's it going? I hope you're having an awesome day. It has been quite a week. A lot of reflection, evaluating where I am with the KVD Mi Vida Loca remix palette, where I'm going to go with it in the future. And so I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you enough. Thank you for all of the encouragement and the thoughtful support left on that previous video. I was in a really bad place. You know, the whole Instagram post just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and you know, I was disgusted with the fact that she was bullying longtime supporters and just so incredibly defensive. And I just, the whole thing left me feeling gross and disgusting. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about how I feel about her as a person, how I feel about her brand, how I feel about panning and just kind of a lot of things. And I've gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I took a step away from the palette and I worked with my Lorac Mega Pro palette. So that was a lot of fun. It gave me some new realizations because while I used this, I love the formula, but I really missed my KVD palette because one of the things that I've really considered is the Mi Vida Loca remix has really pushed me to use more color than I ever have in my makeup wearing life. And I really appreciated that. I needed that boost after panning so many neutral palettes in a row. And so it really got me thinking about it. But my official stance on KVD, it's been a long time coming, but I feel like I'm at the point where I think I've outgrown her brand. I'm ready to move on. I've been a long-time supporter. I, began watching her in her days on Miami Inc. I watched LA Inc. I appreciated the fact that she's been such a successful businesswoman and made her deals with Sephora and everything. That is to be congratulated. But at the same time, like with all of this stuff going on right now of her bullying customers and the drama that's going on with vaccinating versus not vaccinating, I personally choose to keep my own vaccinations current. My children are vaccinated because I wanted to help the herd immunity and do our part to support it. But I do realize that there are people out there that cannot get vaccinations or they are immunocompromised and they do have allergic reactions. I realize there's an entire population out there. But really what disgusted me about the whole thing was just her response and defensiveness. And it's been more than just this issue. I've watched her bully quite a few people with social media. So I hope and I pray that she takes away from this experience that she probably would benefit from having a PR agent to help filter what she's putting out on social media, or maybe perhaps delete her personal social media entirely and keep it professional with just the business aspect, because she is her brand. That was one of the things that I went back and forth about, as well as, separating the makeup from the person. And it's kind of hard when she's interchanging it all of the time. And so for my future purchases, I am choosing to be yet another customer that is going to put my money elsewhere instead of her brand in the future. But looking at my Mi Vida Loca remix palette, I do want to continue panning it because there are many of us out there that have this palette that, this is helpful information. I'm a panning channel. I'm all about sharing good information. And so this is still going to be applicable for people that are quietly panning on the side that choose not to support her, or for people that are unable to sell their palettes online, since I know a lot of people are trying to get rid of them right now for their personal opinions on how they feel about her. So it is what it is. So from this point forward, we have 6 months. I'm going to see what I can do with the rest of the palette, and then whatever's left at the end of the year will go in the bin. So that is what it is. I'm feeling okay about it. I'm feeling good, even though I'm still pretty. I'm disgusted about the way that she's handled a lot of things, like being so defensive and so just antagonistic toward a lot of supporters. Like that just. It really came off as unprofessional, and I hope that she understands that if she thinks she's gotten unsolicited advice now, this is only the beginning. When you're a parent, and especially with her having the influence that she has, every decision that she makes is going to be evaluated, and there are going to be people that agree with it and people that don't. It is what it is. So yeah, I hope that she takes away from this that maybe she needs to take a step back and not put her personal opinions out there to mix with her brand, because I mean, it is impacting her financially with so many people. You know, again, I'm going to be one of them that have just decided that from now on we're gonna try some other things. So let me show you where my palette was back in June or May, and then we'll talk about where the palette is currently. Okay, and here is where the palette is at the moment. Let me turn it where it's actually the correct way. So it's been quite a change. I have actually finished, the most recent shade that I finished was Noble, and in fact I went in with Strutter. Strutter was a shade that was a little bit too light for my liking. It definitely faded. I didn't get the color payoff that I wanted or the tone that I wanted, so I actually made a Franken shadow by mixing it with an old warmer tone Bare Mineral shade, and I got the exact dupe to Noble, so it's going to be easy for me to get through the rest of this shadow. And in fact, I'm actually making it an even warmer peanut butter shade by mixing it with sepia from my Lorac Mega Pro palette. So I think I'm going to be quietly panning this from now on. I'll show it to you in just a minute. But I've gone through with Strutter. I have definitely finally found a way that I like to wear skulls. I've actually been wearing the NYX Faux White liner in the, it's kind of a bluish lilac-y shade. I'll talk about it in my makeup bag recap that's coming up in a few days, but I actually really like that frosty white shade. When I took my little bit of a break from this palette, I wore Vanilla from my Mega Pro palette, and I really liked it on top of that faux white liner, and so today I tried it with Skulls. I get a very similar effect, so that's going to make it really, really easy for me to get through the rest of that shadow. And I actually made quite a few Franken shadows with this particular shade to kind of get through and add, you know, even more variety to this palette than what we already see. Today I did hit pan on the shade Echo. I'm wearing it on my lower lash line on top of a Maybelline liner. And then I've also, I'm pretty close to hitting pan in Swoon. I've made some Franken shadows and some blush that I will show you in just a second, but I hope to get as much use as I can out of that. And then the other thing that I've really kind of gone through and used is black metal, but it's going to take me a while for that. So like I mentioned, I'm going to just keep plugging away at this palette and see what I can do with it. But in addition to that, let's talk about some of the Franken shadows that I have made. Before Kat Von D came out with all of her stuff on Instagram about, you know, veganism and anti-vaccination and going with more traditional birth plans, I had made a couple of Franken shadows, and so this is one of the things I wanted to work on with my hashtag It's Been Emotional Project pans. So I made quite a few Franken shadows. Like this one in particular was a combination of bubblegum and macaron, which was the hot pink that was down here, and the bright orange. And I mixed a little bit of Swoon and Destroyer in with it, and I made the exact dupe to NARS Orgasm. So it's been a lot of fun wearing this. As a blush, I'm wearing it on my cheeks today, as well as a little bit in my crease to blend everything out. I love, love, love this particular Franken shadow, so that worked out really well. It gives me an easy summer blush. Another thing that I did is I went through with Synth for both of these two colors. This is Synth mixed with Skulls on its own to make a really stark, you know, kind of a bright cerulean blue. I love this particular shadow, and because there is the white in it, I can kind of make it look like it is more duochrome when it is on the skin. This shadow right here, I took what was left of blackberry, or blue raspberry, not blackberry, blue raspberry that was down here. I mixed it with a little bit of Hyper Ballad, that teal shade, and then with a little bit of Synth to get this really bright aqua teal shade, again with the, you know, a slight white shift to it to make it a little bit easier to use. I like wearing this on my lid with Hyper Ballad in the crease area and a little bit of that kind of Strutter combo with the Bare Mineral shadow. It works really, really well. And then on these shades, I took the Harpsichord shade and I mixed it with a deep red and a little bit of Swoon and Destroyer to make kind of this rose gold. It's coming off a little bit orange on camera, but it's also an easy shade to just pair that gives me a little bit more of an alternative to wear as a lid shade. And then I made a couple other Franken shades with the purple. This has a little bit of Muse, a little bit of Anthem, and then I took a little bit of an inglot shadow that was a really deep purple, and then I'm trying to think a little bit of skulls, and I'm trying to think what else is in there. I'll think of it in just a minute. I wrote it down on Instagram. And then this shade is Vinyl, Skulls, and I think that's it for this one. No, a little bit of Synth. Not too much, but a little bit of Synth to give me kind of a really light toned Kermit green. It's not going to have quite the payoff I want in a swatch, but on the eye it is absolutely beautiful over a shadow base. And then this color up here is just kind of a taupey. I took Love, Skulls, and a little bit of MAC Satin Taupe to make this easy wearable shade that'll be perfect in the fall. So I figured this is going to give me a way to really kind of maximize some more use out of not only using some older pans instead of buying a Z palette or another type of magnetic palette, but it's also going to give me a way to knock out even more shadow, because I was able to go in with many other different kinds of older eyeshadow that I had just laying around and repurpose them into things that I like. And then as I talked about in the beginning of this video, this is kind of a little sneak peek project pan porn for you on where I currently am with my Lorac Mega Pro palette, because I did take the break and I really focused in on the shades Mulberry. These are kind of Franken shadows that I've made right here. It's a combination of Camel Fawn and Sepia to make a peanut buttery shade, really similar to the peanut butter shade from the Too Faced Semi-Sweet, or yes, Semi-Sweet palette. And then also to the brown down here, this is Fawn and Camel together, because I typically wear them mixed anyway, so I just decided to make a one-stop shop Franken shadow. And then this pan right here is a combination of Fawn, not Fawn, Dusty Plum and Orchid, because I wear those shadows together all the time to make a really pretty mauve. So I just decided to go on and combine them. So I'm out of that pan now, and then I have a little bit of Dusty Plum left that I can pop in my crease and then wear it along with Dusty Rose, or with kind of a combination of maroon or some of these other shadows down here. So lots of progress. I really kind of surprised myself with how much progress I've made in Granite, because it is super powdery, so it's gone really fast. I've also made a lot of progress in Caviar. And then what kind of re-inspired me with Skulls is wearing what I could out of Manila down here. So lots and lots of progress, and I've made a slight little dip in Mulberry up here. Today, in place of where I was wearing Mulberry before, I actually have a combo of Destroyer and Swoon, because I've been super inspired by a bright pink lip. I'm panning this NARS lip pencil in Let's Go Crazy, along with these Firmoo glasses. I really wanted kind of a look that would, you know, inspire me to wear these on a regular basis now that my hair is quite a bit darker. I just love how this all kind of works together. And then it still gave me some segue to use my Project Pan, or hashtag It's Been Emotional matte quad from the Mariah Carey collection. And if I don't want to use the gold shade in there, I can sub in Legend from this palette, so it'll give me some more use. So that's where I am. That's where I am. I am back into being excited about the palette, being motivated, because I really, like I said, I'm loving that I'm using so much color this year, and I don't really have a lot of colorful palettes in my collection at this point. It's definitely more neutral. However, I did pick up the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette and the Prism palette because they're on sale right now. I love the color stories in those palettes, and I figure even though they've had their own controversies, I love the Lorac formula. I'm thinking I'm going to like the Anastasia formula just as well, because I do like that softer, powdery kind of texture, easy to blend, but I'm hoping that the Subculture palette has been reformulated where it's not quite as fragile as it was before. So I'll keep you posted, and those are going to be palettes that I phase in, because like I said, I'm really embracing color. I don't want to be without color from this point forward, because, you know, for my Pan That palettes into the future, you know, definitely I'm going to be working on knocking out some neutral palettes, but I want to keep that zing of constantly keeping some color rotated in to keep me on my toes. So thank you so much once again for being so encouraging, for being supportive, and I hope that you continue to follow along with my Pan That palette journey. I hope that it continues to inspire you to bring out some colorful shadows from your favorite brands, or if you have this Mi Vida Loca Remix palette, bust it out. Now's the, you know, kind of the time to use it. If you want to get rid of it, you know, get some use out of it before you pass it along, or if you're on the fence and not really sure how you feel about the brand, well, this could give you an opportunity to try it out and see if you like the formula. So that's about it. I'm gonna have my makeup bag recap coming up pretty soon, and a hashtag It's Been Emotional, and I'm gonna keep those looks coming. So thank you once again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon.